Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to talk about how you can make polite requests. When you're asking someone for a favor, you want to be polite, and the larger the favor, the more polite you should be. For example, 나 도와줘. Help me. 좀 도와줄래요? Do you want to help me a bit? 조금만 도와주시겠어요? Would you help me for just a bit? 잠시만 도와주실 수 있을까요? Would you be able to help me for a moment? Which of these would you use to your close friend, a colleague, or a stranger? So let me give you a few examples that you can use when you want to ask favors. Notice how each of these examples is conjugated, and all of them will use the verb 하다. 해주세요. Please do it. 해주시겠어요? Would you please do it? 해주시면 안 될까요? Would it be okay if you could please do it? 해주실 수 있을까요? Would you please be able to do it? 해주시면 감사하겠습니다. I would be grateful if you would please do it. Next, let's learn another useful word for asking favors, and that is butak, which means a favor. And it's commonly used either in the verb 부탁하다 or 부탁드리다 in humble speech. These verbs are used in more polite and formal sounding requests. They will not be used for normal favors. Instead, simply use the forms we previously learned. For example, it would sound awkward to ask someone to pass the salt by saying 소금 부탁드립니다. The salt, if you please. These verbs can be used as phrases or with a noun. Here are a few examples. 부탁해요. Please do me this favor. 잘 부탁드립니다. Please take good care of this for me. This could also mean, please take good care of me after giving a self-introduction. 양해를 부탁드려요. I ask for your understanding. 자기소개를 부탁드리겠습니다. Please introduce yourself. 박수를 부탁드립니다. I ask for your applause. Next, let's talk about making commands. When you're speaking politely, words like don't should be avoided. Instead, use words like should or should not. Here are a few examples, again, using the verb 하다. 하면 안 돼요. You shouldn't do it. 하시면 안 됩니다. You should not do it. 해주면 좋겠어요. You should do it. 해주시면 좋겠습니다. You should do it. 안 하시면 안 될까요? Could you not do it? Now, I do want to spend a couple minutes to talk about two forms which are important to know but are not actually commonly used. And the first one is a form for saying let's. To make this form, take a verb stem and attach a piup followed by 시다 if it ends with a vowel, or by attaching 읍시다 if it ends in a consonant. Note, if the verb stem ends with a lir, remove it first. For example, 하다 would become 합시다, 받다 would become 받읍시다, and 살다 would become 삽시다. This ending is for making suggestions and means let's, but it's only used when talking down to someone from a higher rank. For example, a supervisor talking to an employee, or sometimes to other family members. Note that this ending, while it's useful to know, is not a polite ending, but it's also not a casual ending. The next ending is this one, which is used for commands. And to make it, you take a verb stem and you attach 십시오 if it ends in a vowel, or you attach 으십시오 if it ends in a consonant. Again, if the verb stem ends with a lir, remove it first. For example, 하다 becomes 하십시오, 받다 becomes 받으십시오, and 살다 becomes 사십시오. This ending is for making honorific commands and is more honorific than the 으세요 ending. However, this ending often ends up sounding too honorific and unfriendly. So despite being honorific, using this form to someone in a high rank would actually sound rude. Instead, the 으세요 ending will usually be more appropriate. Note that you still may see this form in official or formal writing as a strong but honorific sounding command form. Now let's do a short listening practice. Here, a coworker is helping another coworker to correct some of their work. First, Eugene says, 미래 씨, 미래, 이게 좀 이상해요. This is a little strange. 설명 좀 부탁드릴게요. Can you please explain it a bit? Or literally, I ask that you explain it. 아, 이건 이렇게 하면 안 돼요. Ah, you shouldn't do it like this. 왜 그런가요? Why is that? 자세히 설명해 주시면 좋겠어요. I hope that you can explain it to me in detail. 저도 설명은 잘 못하겠는데 I can't explain it well either. 다들 그냥 외우라고 하더라고요. But everyone says to just memorize it.
미래 씨, 이게 좀 이상해요. 설명 좀 부탁드릴게요. 아, 이건 이렇게 하면 안 돼요. 왜 그런가요? 자세히 설명해 주시면 좋겠어요. 저도 설명은 잘 못하겠는데 다들 그냥 외우라고 하더라고요.
And before we go, see if you can do this quick quiz on your own. You can pause the video here and resume it when you're ready for the answers. Here are the answers. The first one is true. A polite and formal way to ask for something is by using the verbs 부탁하다 or 부탁드리다. The second question is false. To be polite, always use formal speech when telling someone don't. But actually, to be polite, you probably want to say should not instead of don't. And the third and fourth questions are also false. Neither of those two endings are very common or polite. So in this lesson, we learned a few ways that you can make polite requests to other people. And in the next lesson, we're going to talk about how you can ask someone else for permission to speak more casually, or how you can give permission to someone else to do that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next lesson. 그럼 다음에 또 봐!